Are my watches on this side?
Yes.
Sure.
Positive.
All right.
We're gonna find out, aren't we?
Yeah.
The taking off the watches, that is kind of a one and done. So.
Ooh.
Hey everyone, it's Nathan with Crown and Caliber, and we are back with another 3-watch collection. This is where we get to pick a random 3 watches from here at the office. It's kind of like that tree house collection of sorts. It's like, what if I could have these 3? And the collection today, the parameter is the classic 3-watch collection. So that is a diver's watch, a dress watch, and then an everyday or a sport watch. And today with me we have Mark. Mark, you can take a second to introduce yourself to everyone and let them know what you do.
Hi, I'm Mark. I work with the valuation department. So part of the few people that every watch that comes in, we assign a price to it, figure out what we're willing to buy for it and purchase it. We are the watch experts of the first level when it comes
That's awesome.
in.
Yeah, he deals a lot with numbers, and it is, I think, integral in what makes Crown and Caliber so unique. So I'm so glad you're here today. I'm so glad we get to do this. And I'm super excited that Mark is here because actually Mark is going to be on the channel a lot more. We're going to be starting a new series that features Mark, and I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but here's a quick teaser on what's to come.
I'm Mark, and I work with the valuation department here at Crown and Caliber. And in the department, we get to see thousands of watches come across our desk a day and tens of thousands in a week sometimes. When we get to see so many, we come across some that are what we like to call the hidden gems. It's something that even after you see that many, thousands of watches, it still grabs your attention because there's something about it that's unusual. There's something about it that's worth geeking out over. So I'm gonna take you on this journey and we're gonna geek out together about what makes these watches different, what makes them the hidden gems.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, are you ready to jump into these watches?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's do this, man. Boom.
You can open the top.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to look at him for a second.
Went with the classics.
You knew to some extent, you knew I would. There's one on there I knew for sure was going to be there.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I definitely, that one for sure I thought was going to, or at least
Really?
the brand. Just
Okay,
because I know you would
yes,
have.
the brand, absolutely. I almost put two, it was hard to choose which of the brand would be in there.
Well, awesome. Well, we are going to jump in. You will definitely get to see the watches, guys. We'll make sure to have plenty of great photos of them. I do think an interesting point as we get into this, that this is probably, because I've done this a few times, is probably the most personal collection because it is that classic, you know, what is your 3-watch collection?
What would you actually buy?
There's elements of this that are definitely closest to things I would actually, in an aspirational sense, one day hope to have. So
I actually own one here, so
like,
of your collection.
Yes. Well, I know which one. Yes, and yours is I would argue even cooler. I'm excited to talk about that one. We'll just jump in. All right, so take your first watch that you're gonna talk about. I would love to see it. So pick one and hand it to me.
I'm gonna go with the diver first.
All right, the diver. All right, walk me through why you chose
the Cartier Calibre diver.
All right, tell me about it.
In-house movement. It's the 1904 MC, so it's their version of a 2824 workhorse movement.
Yeah.
That is part of their in-house caliber they started doing the past 10 years. On top of that, it's the first real diver they've ever done, and it's blacked out. It's similar proportions to a Submariner in its size. It's actually slightly thinner. I love the blacked out look of it.
Yeah.
It's just cool. It's a ADLC coating on it. So it's amorphous diamond light coating. It's actually a very light, it's like a PVD coating, but much stronger. It's actually basically a diamond type carbon. So it's very, very scratch resistant.
Well, when I picked it up, it's funny you say that. I was like,
it's steel.
There are actual like scratches and dents in here, but it's not through the finish, and I was like, well, that's not your standard. I knew there was
so much harder to scratch that, and it has the weight of steel, not the ceramic. What a great sound to it.
Yeah, that's a solid bezel. Is it a ceramic bezel or is it a sapphire?
No, steel.
The bezels?
With the ADLC coating.
Oh.
That creates the smoothness throughout the whole thing. So it looks like ceramic, but it won't shatter like ceramic. And it's near as scratch resistant.
Interesting.
It's something that only they do. It's something that they came up with, and I don't know of anyone else that uses the exact same coating. And there's a steel version, a gold version, two-tone, but the blacked out version to me is just sleek.
I do like the strap too when it lays flat. It almost looks like an integrated strap bracelet.
It's kind of funky. If you look at the lugs, they actually go out below the strap.
Oh, they do.
on the edge. The strap actually sits higher up in it.
Yeah.
So it gives the look of having a typical lugs, but the strap sits further up in it, so it gives a more integrated look to it. It is something that it flies under the radar. It's a watch that, I mean, it's a steal
Yeah.
at its price range. Absolute steal. In-house movement, a manufacturer that's been around forever that is underrated in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the blue side jewel.
Oh, the cabochon.
Yeah, just
they bring
the way that comes out in the black.
Yeah.
Oh man, that thing looks great.
And I feel like that's a great nod to the Cartiers. Having the sapphire cabochon is like, hey, this is still a Cartier. Like we're not foregoing what makes us such a unique, brand house.
Like no matter what, they'll always make a new watch, but it'll always look like Cartier.
Yeah.
Still has the secret signature. I believe the 10 o'clock on that one.
Yeah.
It has, it still has the cabochon. It still looks like a Cartier, but it looks like a modern diver.
Dude.
And it's 300-meter water resistant. That thing will do everything a Submariner will do.
Yeah. I love that, man. That is a solid first pick. I'm guessing the buckle has the same.
Same coating.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint, my friend.
I love this thing. It's going to probably be in my personal collection.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, not sooner than later.
Okay. Dude, that is a sweet one. Well,
That's
I
just,
will.
I love that thing.
That bezel's sweet. I will go ahead and show you my diver. And this is probably the most, I don't know the word, I'll just like hedonistic. It's the Submariner Hulk.
You can't go wrong.
As far as a diver for me, I love just the Submariner. I do. I think the No Date Submariner is such a classic watch. I know that's like of course you picked that watch, but I love it. I mean, I think I'll say Rolex is Rolex because they're Rolex. Like what they do is, in its own right, is impressive.
Yeah.
I've always loved the Kermit, and then when the Hulk came out, I thought the addition of the green dial was exquisite. My only reservation on this is the super case.
Yeah.
I very much prefer the 5-digit case. I even prefer the 12s, the new 1-2 case. But I love the green dial that it comes to play. The green sunburst to me is what makes that watch that much more unique than, say, the new ceramic Kermit or the original Kermit.
I actually like this better than the new ceramic
Yes.
Kermit. I like the green dial
Yes.
better than that
Yes.
black dial. And my favorite Rolex is the original Kermit.
Yeah. Okay.
It came out when I first started getting
Yeah.
the watches. So for me, I love the green on it, always have.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably been one of my favorite things about any watch.
Yeah.
About Rolex in general is when they come out with the green.
Yes.
I love the
It's
greens
so
they do.
good. And I think to
But,
that point is the bezel on that works better because of the green dial, where it seems like on the new ceramic Kermit, the green is the same,
It's
but
too faded.
it
to
seems
me.
faded because of the
Yeah.
black dial.
It just doesn't.
And side by side, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's the same green ceramic.
It looks the same, yeah. I mean, like I said, I love the original Kermit
Yeah.
like no other Rolex.
Yeah.
And this is the closest thing to me. Like,
So I
this
just-
is a great watch.
Yes.
I'm not a Rolex fanboy,
Yes.
but I appreciate them. And there's nothing. I'll never say anything bad
Yeah.
about this watch.
Yeah.
I
mean, it
it's a
is-
solid watch, and it's one that, with it going out of, production,
Yeah.
it's going to be rare. It's going to be more sought after.
It's one of those watches that the best time to buy that watch would have been yesterday. And it's funny.
And it's always going to be that case, though.
Yes, I know,
So it's
it's-
one of those, like, if you can buy it,
Yeah.
buy it.
Yeah.
If you like it and you can buy it, because it's just going to get worse. I mean, if you have a diver and you say Submariner, no one's ever going to fault you.
No.
It's Submariner and Seamaster are usually the top
Yeah.
two divers when you talk. They're
Yeah.
both great. They're both fantastic. Can do no wrong.
Thank you. So that is my diver. I've said it before that I love the Hulk, and there's just something about it. All right, what do you got next for me?
My daily.
Your daily.
So one of the things as I've become part of the daily, as my watch I'm currently wearing has been a daily, it's a manual wind.
Yeah.
And the thing that
What are
I've,
you currently wearing?
Weiss watch.
Dig a little deeper. Because you were telling us about this. This is kind of an interesting
It's
one.
the new watch by Cameron Weiss, Weiss Watches. It has no city on it, so it's a newer one. As
Yeah.
he's moved to Nashville, they got rid of the Los Angeles on it. It's my I Survived 2020 watch that I bought for myself and
Nice.
have having for the past month. I absolutely love it. I've fallen in love with it.
Yeah.
I haven't worn any of my watches for a month since I've gotten it,
Dude,
which
that's
is
awesome.
unusual. But one of the things I fell in love with that I've never had before is a manual wind,
Mm-hmm.
because every day I'm waking up. First thing I do before I put on the watch is I have to pick it up and wind it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to take that 20 seconds to just wind it, and it forces me to appreciate it every day. And that's one of the reasons a manual wind was my first thought for an everyday wear.
I like that. Yeah.
On top of that, a chronograph, because I do a lot of cooking and I like having the timing. I actually will use a chronograph. I use it as its intended purpose, because I'm sitting there honestly timing rice or something like that as
Yeah.
I cook. It's great to just hit it, not have to think, not have to grab my phone out of my pocket or keep looking back and turn the screen back on or something like that. Having it on my wrist keeps it easy.
Now this is not any Speedmaster,
No, this is
which I love. I love this watch.
This is the Olympic one,
Yeah.
not the Gemini one.
No, I know, but it just made me. What's even more unique is
It's
what the stamp
Tokyo
says. 2020
Olympic watch in
Which-
the background. It's one of the set for the rings, and this is supposed to be for
Yeah.
the blue ring.
Yeah.
Because the other thing about this watch is, who wouldn't want to remember 2020?
That's what I was about to say. I think
It's great to have a stamp on the back for something that never happened.
exactly that
Well,
makes it so much more interesting.
It's going to be more interesting
Yeah.
as they came out with so many 2020 watches
Hmm.
for the Olympics, and this is my favorite one of those. And it's an easier to find than the Gemini one that looks similar.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that it says Tokyo 2020 on the back, because the little reminder also, things could always be worse. It could always be 2020.
Yeah. And that blue is gorgeous.
It's just, yeah. I mean, to see it in person.
Is that
so much
bezel
better.
an aluminum bezel? Is that anodized blue aluminum?
I believe it's aluminum. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a solid watch.
Yeah. If you want the blue ceramic, you have to get the new Snoopy.
Yeah. All right. So for my next watch, I'm going to skip the everyday. I'm going to save that one for last.
All right.
And for a few reasons, I'm going to show you my dress watch. Now, for my dress watch, I went with the JLC Reverso.
Never go wrong.
I went with this one in particular for a few reasons. I will start with how I even got to here. I had never considered a Reverso until literally the first one of these we
Allie,
did.
yeah.
Until Allie picked one out for me.
This is the JLC Reverso Duo. Looks great on your wrist, by the way. I could wear that as well.
Oh, so you're just picking out watches that you can borrow from me.
Yeah, kinda.
And it was one of the smaller ones, and I think I had written them off because of the size. Then even in picking out what my dress watch would be for this video, I had some others in there. I had some of the ones that I've looked at before, some Alongas, some of the high-end dress watches, and I put that one on, and I was like, it in the most kind of just nerdy way, I felt something about that one. How it sat on the wrist, that
beautiful.
blue,
It's
the
beautiful.
finishing on those applied indices,
Oh, man.
I mean, and not for nothing, that watch could also be an everyday watch in a way that an Alonga is not going to be an everyday watch. Like that,
Yes.
even in the current outfit I'm wearing
I
would
mean,
work.
originally it's a sports watch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
You flip it over.
Originally, you do that, go play on some horses.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure that's the Caliber 822, which is just their workhorse manual wound JLC movement. I mean, you could wear that every day, but if that's what you throw on when you're going to a wedding or out to a nice dinner,
No one will ever
No one's
think
gonna-
it's a sports watch originally.
Yeah.
It's one of those it's transcended its original purpose.
Yes.
It's become, I mean, it is JLC.
Yeah.
The staple of the brand is the Reverso.
Yes.
And yeah, this one's gorgeous. This one and the red one that's similar to this.
yes,
Those two are
which we
both-
also have.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I went with that one is I love blue.
That's fair.
The red is amazing. I mean, it is rich, it is powerful, but for me,
This is,
it had to be blue.
I mean, I've looked at quite a few Reversos, but this blue and dial, the sunburst on it even.
And when pop it out and look at under the mechanism, look at
little
the
Art Deco,
Yeah, like
sunburst pattern.
that's an interesting addition that I did not realize that model came with.
That's nice. That still has the plastic on
Yeah,
it. Wow. Somebody didn't even take the plastic off. That's awesome. That's going to be a steal for whoever grabs it up.
yeah. Let me see it one more time.
Go for it.
I love it. I love it.
The one I love.
I knew
This-
I knew you were gonna have one. I just wasn't sure which.
I got to take a second.
Take it, man.
The Breguet. I think it's a 7417 Classique. Breguet is the most underrated brand that there is out there. Everyone talks about the big three. Everyone talks about all the other independents that are high-end watches. Breguet is the one that just gets ignored every time, with a history that's richer than everybody. That's a watch with Breguet numerals, with Breguet hands. And it's one thing when you first get started looking at it and it's like, that's a pretty white dress watch. And then you realize that that's Grand Feu enamel. So that is enamel that goes through 8 coats. It has a failure rate that approaches 90% of cracking and flaws showing in it. So just to make that dial, you have to throw away 90% of the ones that you're trying to make. and that even goes for the last stage when they paint on the numbers. Like, there's also a failure rate at that point. So they can get all the way to painting everything on, still fail and throw it away. And then the extra indices on it, the little marks on the numbers, are hand painted on.
I was wondering, those are so intricate and unique.
You're talking about something that, like the Creedor. You're talking about a watch that is not talked about at the same level as Creedors, and it should be.
That's a good analogy.
And on top of that, it's a Breguet, it's different, and it doesn't have a movement shared because the sub-seconds is off to the side. They're never on the 6, they're never on the 3, they're always to the side because the movement is made just for that. And then on top of that, you have the sub-second hand where it's, instead of being a separate dial, it's just slightly divoted in, making it, the chance of it failing even higher because it's not a flat surface.
Yeah.
And then even on top of that, and keep going.
Keep going, man.
It's going to be really hard to find, but there's a secret signature in the white enamel between the 3 and the center that you have to look off.
What the? That's in the enamel?
In the enamel.
It's just a little Breguet logo.
That's how you know it's not fake. They've been doing that since the time of Breguet. Getting a picture of it, getting on video, good luck.
Sorry, guys. Wow.
And that's just the dial. You have the case that is actually, the coin edge isn't CNC'd machine, it's cold rolled. So they have to press it into it and then add the lugs. And the entire watch is 6 millimeters thick. It's just
I love the outside
thing after
rotor.
thing after thing after thing on a watch that costs less than that Hulk.
Yes, I'm about to give it to you. I love hearing you talk about this, man. This is why, guys, what's coming is going to be so exciting because of how he and I just talk about watches differently. And I'm getting excited about this watch that I would never have been excited about because you're excited about it, because you get to talk about it in a way where I'm like,
you have to get into
cow.
the details. It's not just a watch that everyone knows and everyone likes. It's once you get into those little details that separate it from the other guy. And that dial, when you start looking into it, it's just layers and layers. It's milky glass. It's just gorgeous. It's the hard way, which makes it better by 1%.
Yeah.
But that 1% is what makes it special. Everything is done to the nth degree for no other reason but because it makes it that 1% better. And that 1% better is the difference between average and great.
Yeah. This is so perfect because everything you just described could not be used to describe my watch, which is why I think this has been so much fun. So my last watch is my everyday watch. It is my sport watch. It is a Rolex GMT Master 16700. Now, there's a reason I picked this watch. I will let you hold it. It is a black bezel GMT Master. This would be...
with the red hand, which is my favorite part.
So this is, when I think of a Grail watch, that is my Grail watch. And actually, my Grail watch was a 16710, so the GMT Master 2. But we're playing this game. We did not have one of those in stock in the black bezel, so I went with this one. This is a close second, and I'll also explain why. The first Rolex I ever saw in person was a black bezel GMT Master 2. And it was on a mixture of an olive NATO strap and an orange NATO strap. It was when I worked in a restaurant in college. He would trade them out, the guy who wore it.
I like that.
He would come in regularly,
Yeah.
and he would trade out those 2 NATO straps. He also had the bracelet. And it was when I worked in a restaurant, and he was a photographer. And there was this moment where I was like, I can make it. In the sense that I was in the process of getting an art degree. I was slugging through college, working in restaurants and in bars and in coffee shops. And so when I see those watches, there's like this very visceral, like, if I can get that, I will have made it. Now, since we didn't have a 16710, I went with the 16700. What's unique about this one, this is still a GMT Master. So for a time,
Yeah.
Rolex was producing a GMT Master and a GMT Master 2.
Yeah.
The big difference was this is a 3175 versus a 3185. This doesn't have the jumping hour. This is a Swiss-only dial, which means this is Luminova. This is the end of the GMT Master line. This is one of the last ones that would have been made. So the reason I love the 16710 is because I was just getting into watches when I met this photographer, and it had the pierced lugs but had the solid end-link bracelet. So I could date it to the early 2000s, but I knew it was a GMT Master 2. It says it on the dial. And so for me, that kind of checked the boxes. You get the pierced lugs, you get some of the modern kind of creature comforts of that solid end-link bracelet, and that's why I love that. But this, as far as like a close second, just the black bezel, GMT Master 2.
To me, this is probably my favorite version of
Yeah.
the watch because it's a little more modern. It's not going to patina, which means it's not going to crack.
Yeah.
The Luminova, and I still love the aluminum.
I do too.
I think the aluminum is great. The case is perfect. The watch that got me into watches is I inherited from my late father-in-law a 1964 1675 GMT in black, which
is
is
so
the
good.
earliest black bezel I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's all original. I mean, all original.
Yeah.
It sat in a bank for 40 years.
Yeah. It was also one of the first interactions where I saw it and I was like, Mark. And you got to talk about it and I was like,
It's a
holy
1964. I believe it's a Mark I dial.
Yeah.
It's just as soon as the big arrow hit.
Yeah.
It's like one of the first dials of that. I mean, it's a great condition. It's got one scratch across the bezel and that's it.
It is so
Everything in there is mint. It looks fantastic. It's just past the million watch mark
Yeah.
on the serial number. Below 1.1 million, I
Yeah.
know that. So it's one of those that it is definitely a 1964, all original. Even the bracelet still looks good. And once you get that watch in hand, and once you wear it, you're like, yeah, I'm hooked.
Yeah. And so that's like,
Yeah, I was like, you're done.
that's like what's so
Yeah.
beautiful about watches is there's the Breguet you have. And
Yeah.
then there is this watch. And in comparison, that GMT Master is a dime a dozen. But really the difference between that GMT Master and your late father-in-law's is not that much different. We find connections to watches like the JLC where I put that on and I'm like, wow, like this to me, it speaks
I mean,
to you.
I always say watches are art.
Yeah.
We don't need them. We like them because they're pretty.
Yes.
That's why we like art. It speaks to us. It provokes an emotion.
Yeah.
And these are all very different watches, but they're all speak to you in some
Yeah.
way. And that's what's great about the collections.
So I have some bad
stare at
news. You got to take that off.
I don't
It's
like
funny.
this.
It's like you're sitting here talking, and I'm like,
no.
Mark, you're still wearing the Breguet.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, hey guys, we love doing this, and I know I say that, but we truly do. Mark, thank you so much, guys. I am so excited what's coming out, and it's going to be featuring Mark. You're going to get to see more of them, and if this is any taste of what it's going to be like, then guys, you are really in for a treat. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as always, guys, thanks for watching.